Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 18th episode of Season 2 of the Coffin Corner Podcast. I'm your host, KingNightAsp, and with me, as always, is my good friend, Richie. Richie, what's up?
Same as always, just losing in fantasy, losing Thursday night foreplays, just story goes on.
I had a really good weekend in fantasy last week, so I feel pretty good about that. The
Good.
Dynasty is just the one that's killing me. I have the worst record in our Dynasty League.
Didn't you finish second place 2 years in a row?
Yes, 2 years in a row I was in the championship and then lost it. So,
And then this season, not even going to make the playoffs.
yeah, don't make any sense. I guess that does make sense. Justin Jefferson's been hurt. Jonathan Taylor didn't play for the first half of the season. Like, all my big names have been hurt. Plus, I've lost so many of my good running backs, like James Robinson, and just I'm in shambles. We're in shambles over here. So
not a complete rebuild, though. I think you'll still be fine with Jefferson and Taylor. Just gotta wait till next season.
The quarterbacks are what really killing me. Stafford being hurt constantly. Deshaun Watson being hurt.
Who I traded you before the season.
Yeah, I really gotta hope for one of the. I didn't realize just the amount of good quarterback names that will be in next year's draft. It's insane to me that Spencer Rattler, who was at one time projected to be a number one pick, is projected to be like a 5th round pick this year.
Yeah, it's one of those years where we might have like 6 quarterbacks go in the first round again.
And there are a lot of really good ones.
Yeah, there'll still be even more in the second and third round. Like, it's for all the teams that are quarterback needy, and there are a lot of them, it is a great year for quarterbacks.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of them. I don't know what's going. Oh, damn it! It ended. My camera stopped. It had me drinking Red Bull and just holding that Red Bull to my mouth. Then
it's just a Red Bull ad. You're just holding the can up.
Yes, exactly. All right, so we'll start off like we always do with the top 5. Richie, what did you pick for the top 5 this week?
So top 5, I wanted to do something positive. So I was thinking, fantasy football, even though it hasn't been very positive for me, I still love it. And I was just thinking about the top 5 players that I've just enjoyed, either mostly on my teams, but also just watching when it comes to fantasy football. And I'm going to start off number 1 with a name that a lot of people may not think would be a good one, but Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, the Broncos haven't had a good year. They've gotten better, but Russell Wilson's actually not having too bad of a fantasy year. And for where he was drafted late as a quarterback, it's been nice. I have him in a league, and he's filled in very nicely for me with Deshaun Watson being hurt. And now that Deshaun Watson's out for the rest of the year, I will be I'll ride with Russ. I'm gonna let Russ cook the rest of the season and hope for the best.
You know, what's funny is last week I would have probably laughed at that pick, but Mahomes was out last week, and I didn't have a quarterback on my roster in one of my leagues, and Russell Wilson was just sitting there. And compared to everything that was left over in that league, I'm like, all right, well, Russell has gotten points in the past. And so he filled in for me last week on my 1 week without Patrick Mahomes. And I think he had 18.5 points, which is, very serviceable for a waiver wire pickup start. And I was happy with it. And that was probably one of his better games of the entire season this last week. He didn't throw any interceptions. He had 1 or 2 touchdowns. He had a lot of rushing yards. He actually did pretty well last week, so I could see it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I like about it is just he's not a top 5 fantasy quarterback, but just looking at our leagues, he's 14th, which right out the top 12, but he's ahead of guys like Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, who did miss some games, Stafford, Justin Fields, just the fact that I got Russell Wilson as my second quarterback. I got him late, and he's filled in nicely. He's not blowing anything out of the water. But
and like I said, in some leagues, he's still available. Like there are a lot of people that have just given up on him completely when he's still obviously top half of the league as far as quarterbacks for fantasy goes. So
yeah,
take a look, see if your league is a 10-man league, you might have a good backup there.
Yeah, if he's just chilling out there.
Should I just package deal my first two?
Yeah, why not?
Well, they're all both on the same team, and I have them on multiple teams. But that is 2 Rams, and I am loving them. Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams, both just absolute beasts. Now, Kyron Williams has been hurt for he's on the IR. He has been for the past 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks. I think he's coming off maybe this week or next week.
Come back.
So that'll be a big bump for me. I do have him in the Dynasty League where he's been on IR. So another part of why I'm just, diving through the dumpster. But Kyron Williams and Puka have been very good, fun to watch, their actual games, and just very reliable players. Once they realized they did not want Cam Akers as their starting running back and Kyron took over, there was no looking back for Kyron Williams. And Puka, since day one, Cooper Kupp out, he turned into one of Matthew Stafford's favorite targets, and then there it was, and he's been there since then. So
yeah, Puka is just a fun story, being a mid-round rookie, and I'm hoping Stafford can get back to being healthy, because without Stafford, him and Cooper Kupp have been disappointing. And Kyron Williams, I want him to come back. He's not, he's not I think he's fairly short, but he's just surprising. Everybody counted out, nobody was thinking about him really. It's oh yeah, Kyron Williams, sure, but yeah, he was awesome to start the year, and I believe he's supposed to be back. I don't think this week, but at least next week. So very excited for that, because I also have him on IR, I think, in 2 of my leagues. So sure would be nice to get him back.
Yeah, he's one of those. In fantasy, you're always looking at the who the higher projected. And Kyron Williams is always projected 14 to 15 points or higher, which puts him in a very high category as far as fantasy players go, because average halfbacks 8 points average. Brian Robinson always is in the 8 to 10 range. It's come on, man. So
yeah, and then sometimes you'll have weeks like you did this week where you just breaks off the number 1 running back.
Yeah, exactly. So
that would be nice if it was consistent. But so speaking of running backs, my number 2 is Bijan Robinson. He's for the fact that he's not getting as many carries as his backup, he's more successful. He's fun to watch. He's I don't know, man. I just love his run style. He's explosive. He's physical. It's a damn shame that he doesn't get the ball more. He's still running back 8 right now, which is incredible, because everybody said, "Oh, he doesn't get the ball enough. He doesn't get the ball enough." It's and he's still running back 8. Imagine if he was getting the ball more, he'd be top 3 running back. But yeah, I don't know. I just love it. I just love watching him run. I mean, we're both fans of the run game. We're old school, and it's very rare that you get a top 10 running back come out as a rookie. And he has been as advertised when he's gotten the ball. I can't hear you right now. I don't know if that's just me.
No, it was muted. I was trying to fix my camera issue, and then my camera for the stream screwed up. So let's see if I can't fix it.
Technical difficulties are usually my thing.
I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm screwing things up. Alright, I think I fixed it. That should do it. Okay, yeah, I think we got it. it. One last little fix here. Gosh dang it, I hate this thing. This is why you should never try to fix things while you're doing it. No, it's just the USB connection on the other camera, the one I used for Discord, was bad, obviously, because it kept disconnecting the video to you. But then when I got up to fix that camera, my other camera broke. So, all right, we're fixed. All right. Anyways, back to the top 5. Let's talk. My number 3 is one that I was really high on to start the year, and he has proved that he was worth that hype, and that's Jacoby Myers from the Raiders. I really liked him as a Patriot, and I thought him going there to play with Jimmy Garoppolo would be really good for him. Well, it turns out that it really doesn't matter if Jimmy Garoppolo's there or not. He's just a solid all-around receiver across from Devontae Adams, and he's been really good for me this year. And starting in most of the leagues where I took him, so which was 3 out of 4, I think. So, do like.
Yeah, it's always nice when you go all in on somebody like that and draft them in multiple leagues and they work out. Like, that's why I'm really hopeful Javonte Williams keeps up what he's doing, because I have him in basically every league.
Yeah, for sure.
But another guy I took in a bunch of leagues, Tank Dell. Tank Dell, there's a lot of hype around him and his relationship with CJ Stroud, and surprisingly, it hasn't just been all him. Stroud is actually passing to everybody in Houston. Nate Brown, Robert Woods, Dalton Schultz. Spoiler, but yeah, Tank Dell, fantastic. Very late round receiver that has been good for me, and honestly, at this point, it's just nice having a piece of the Texans passing game, which is a weird thing to say, but right. It's been explosive.
Yeah, I mean, even John Mechie's been getting in on it the last few weeks. So yeah, I like that one. And I tried to trade for Tank Dell at the trade deadline. I could not secure the deal, so unfortunately, I move on without Tank. But I tried. He's that good, and he's the only one besides John Mechie without a injury designation right now. So he's due for some big games going forward. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I cut you off, so I stopped talking.
No, I was agreeing with you.
Okay. I went off the beaten path on the next one because of the fact that most leagues I'm in have IDPs. And so I went with Quincy Williams, the linebacker for the Jets, who I did not see coming as one of the best tackling players in the NFL this year. But Quincy Williams, I have him in at least 2 leagues, and he consistently gets over 10 points a game for me. And it's insane. And it's not, I think he has maybe 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, maybe 1 sack. But he has 85 tackles. So this guy, he's going insane this season as just a tackler. And if he were to pull more things into his game, he would be just that much better as a linebacker in IDP. So I'm loving that guy. And it's funny because this isn't on your list, but I would feel like you'd probably say Quay Walker if I asked you to name one.
Yeah, the first defensive player that comes to my mind is Quay Walker. He's been a stud for me.
I've seen you drop and pick up him multiple times this season.
Yeah, because he's been out. He's missed a couple games. So I wait, and then I have to drop him and hope no one else picks him up, and then no one does. So.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah,
but I have Quincy Williams, so I never worried about picking up Quay, even though Quay's been really good this season too.
Yes, he just needs to stay on the field. My number 4, I said it when I was talking about Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz has been just a savior for me at tight end, because when it comes to drafting tight ends, I don't like going early. I prefer to wait and pick one that I hope breaks out. And he really has, especially, started off a little slow, but with CJ Stroud just balling lately, he is in tight end 7 on the season, which is fantastic considering I drafted him like in round 15 in most leagues, like just as an afterthought. So yeah, just been nice to have that solid tight end. I mean, I should have taken Sam Laporta, but I was nervous about rookie tight ends. He's been better, but I didn't put him on the list because I don't have him anywhere.
I do find it funny. Last year, I thought the Texans' tight end game was going to be really good when they picked up O.J. Howard from Tampa Bay. Not there this year in Houston. They go with a different tight end this time. And they signed Dalton Schultz, I thought maybe that the same thing that happened last time was going to happen this time, where they got another good tight end and nothing happens with it. But Dalton's actually doing something, unlike O.J. Howard. So that's good to see.
Part of it too, I think, is C.J. Stroud. I think O.J. Howard had
that's true.
What's his name? Davis Mills. So it was tough for him.
I remember last year on the podcast just absolutely destroying the Texans for thinking Davis Mills is our future. Sure, pal.
Yeah, well, it's like the Falcons doing the same thing with Desmond Ridder. I mean, I don't know.
Well, my last one is kind of right off of the heels of your two Texans wide receivers, and that's C.J. Stroud, who I only have in one league, but I was able to pick him up in week 5 in that league. And the best part about that is the pay league. So C.J. Stroud picked up off waivers might end up leading me to a payday. So that would be nice.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I'm loving what CJ's doing, because on that team, let me go look, because I don't think I had a very good quarterback for that team, and I was kind of floundering before I picked him up. But let me go look who the other quarterback I have on that team is. I had Trevor Lawrence and Jordan Love. Those were my two quarterbacks for my team.
Yeah, and they've both been terrible.
Yeah, I picked up CJ Stroud, and everything on that team changed. It was great. So
nice. Yeah, it's quarterback is a tough position suddenly. It used to be, when you had Rivers and Manning and Roethlisberger and Brady, and it's like, oh, there's so many quarterbacks, and now all of a sudden there's like 4, and everybody else is just hoping for the best.
Yeah.
And my last one is Mike Evans. I got Mike Evans as my 4th receiver in a live draft that I did, because everybody apparently forgot he existed, and that dude is doing what he always does, which is just ball.
People just did not believe in Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, it's crazy because Mike Evans has done it with so many different quarterbacks. Like, he did it with Jameis Winston, Brady. He's doing it with Mayfield. Like, it's just what he does. Like, he's just
he's that
consistent. Good. Yeah. So yeah, he has been. It's also my best league. That pay league I did a live draft in. Getting him as my 4th receiver is by far my best league, because he has just been locking up my flex.
Nice.
So.
Mike's
awesome. All right, well, let's move on to the news from this week. Not many stories, but a couple big stories. We'll start. Bills fired offense coordinator Ken Dorsey after their Monday night debacle against the Jets.
Yeah, that game.
I think it's fair to say that wasn't just Ken Dorsey. Like, Ken Dorsey, I saw somebody on Twitter said Ken Dorsey did not put 12 men on the field for the field goal. Like, that's not his fault.
Yeah, that was the worst part of the whole game. Like, even after how bad you played, you could have won, and you still found a way to screw that up. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's crazy. The top 5 I almost went with was most disappointing teams, but I honestly didn't think there were 10 most disappointing teams. But the Bills would have been my number 1 with a bullet, because I think we picked the Super Bowl.
Interesting.
And hey, it's still possible, but just looks very unlikely.
Yeah, true.
All right, well, while you're looking that up, Cowboys linebacker Leighton Vander Esch is out for the season with a neck injury. This is significant because they say it may also be the end of his career, which obviously I'm not a Cowboys fan, but we've played against Leighton Vander Esch for years. He's always been very, very good, which has, of course, annoyed me. But I respect good players, and it would be a shame if his career had to come to an end like that. So, wish him the best.
Yeah, he's a very good linebacker.
Yeah, he's just a tackling stud out there. Jaguars wide receiver Zay Jones was arrested, which isn't that impactful because he hasn't done much this year, so it's not like they're going to miss him.
Been hurt all year.
Big news. Yeah. And then, speaking of hurt, Deshaun Watson out for the season with broken bone in his shoulder. He's been hurt off and on all season, so I guess this kind of should have been expected. Another interesting thing is they named DTR the starter for Sunday.
I was wondering if that was going to happen. I mean, he should be, right? PJ Walker is not their future. He's probably not even going to be on the team next year. You need to play the rookie. And while he did have a bad game, his first start, when Deshaun Watson first got hurt, you can't go off one game with quarterbacks. So.
Well, not only that, but his first start was against the Ravens defense. Yeah. Like, of course he looked. And then now, of course, now he gets to play the Steelers defense. So, unfortunately, I don't expect much from him either. But, hopefully he's learned and has got the jitters out from his first start, and he can surprise us. But, Browns, man, it's a shame because even with missing Deshaun Watson so many games, like they're 6-3, they're fighting for their division, and now it's gonna be tough for them to keep this going. I mean, their defense is really, really good, but they lost Nick Chubb, they lost Deshaun Watson, just like a cursed season for the Browns.
Yeah, for sure. And for me as an Amari Cooper owner,
it's terrible.
Not very happy with that. So
yeah, I've got Cooper in a league where I also had Deshaun Watson, so I'm basically toast in that one.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's move on to our Week 10 review. Week 10 Thursday Night Foreplay. I'll go first because mine isn't nearly as interesting as yours. I only got 2 out of 2. Adam Thielen came up 9 yards short. Chuba Hubbard couldn't even hit 25 yards. Pathetic. I did get Cole Kmet over 3.5 receptions and the under 49.5. But yeah, just a miss for me.
We didn't mention the Josh Dobbs part of the.
Oh, yes.
I missed it. Yeah. I was thinking Josh back Dobbs, when we were talking about Deshaun Watson being out. Josh Dobbs was the backup for the Browns before he was traded to Arizona, where he did well in Arizona. He's doing awesome for the Vikings, and the Browns are just going, all right, well, we're starting DTR, the rookie. I was happy for DTR, but for them overall, they'd be in a much better spot with Josh Dobbs probably. But then again, he wouldn't have played every game this season and be as warmed up, so who knows. But
I heard that the reason they traded Dobbs was because DTR looked so good in the preseason that they were like, oh, we trust Dorian Thompson-Robinson as our backup, so we'll trade Dobbs. And then, DTR had the bad game against the Ravens, and Josh Dobbs is having a great season for 2 different teams.
Yeah.
Again, cursed season for the Browns, man.
Yep.
It's unfortunate. Just nothing seems to be going their way.
But on my foreplay did go my way. Now, I don't remember whether we decided if we were going to call this a win for me or not, because honestly, I won the Thursday night 3-play. I did not lose the 4-play. I got the under of 38.5 points. I got the DJ Moore with over 4.5 receptions. I got Adam Thielen with over 40 yards receiving. I think he had 42. So I got that one. You didn't, because he didn't get the extra 10 yards.
Yep.
And the fourth one on my foreplay was Carolina to cover the +3. They literally lost by 3. So that became a voided section of my parlay, and it became a 3-leg parlay that I won, which kind of sucked because it lost me $20 of my parlay, quote unquote missing that. If it had been 3.5, I'd have been totally fine. But here we are with a voided 4-play. So I won a 3-play. Still looking for the 4-play win, but I got the 3-play.
Yeah, that's
still a win. I got money.
Yeah, I mean, I consider it a win. I mean, you won money off the bet. It's a shame that they had to void that one. But hey, now you know. Go down to 2.5 instead of 3.
Exactly. So.
All right. Speaking of Thursday Night Football, the Bears did get the win over the Panthers. My only takeaway from this game, it was my first time really watching a full Panthers game, and my God, Bryce Young looks terrible.
Yeah, he looked bad.
Yeah, and you look at the way CJ Stroud's playing right now. And my favorite thing too, this was really annoying to me. I like Kirk Herbstreit. I've always liked him doing the NCAA stuff, but all game he was complaining that the Panthers don't have any talent around Bryce Young. Like he was talking about, oh, he's really good. They just need to surround him with talent. Like he was making excuses. And I'm sorry, but the Panthers do have talent around him. It's just.
This is where I complain. Why is this camera stuck now? Why are all my cameras stuck? What the actual...
It's fine on the stream.
Because the stream's behind. No device... What? Stop sleeping. Wake up. Why is everything on the stream screwing up today?
Technical issues.
I freaking hate it. All right, there we go.
I'll apologize to our 10 viewers.
Yeah. All 10 of you, stop it. I don't know if that's an apology.
That's not at all.
But commentators.
Stop it.
The commentators are terrible. They're making excuses for Bryce Young while they shit on teams that are good with talent. Watching a Lions game where they're winning and the whole time they're just talking about things that don't make any sense about the Lions defense. They need to get a pass rush. Okay, maybe we need an extra pass rusher, which we did get this week. But are you saying everyone else on the line sucks? Well, they pick and choose their favorites and then talk them up instead of just talking about what is actually real, which is Bryce Young has Adam Thielen. Bryce Young has Miles Sanders, who was good on the Eagles. Bryce Young has, who's their tight end?
Hayden Hurst.
Yeah, he has Hayden Hurst. He's got players. He's not making plays. So I don't want to hear about how it's everyone but Bryce Young's fault just because he's a number one pick. You can say a number one pick was a bad pick. And then when we're on other games, you can compliment two teams at once without looking like you're playing favorites, which it's what bugs the shit out of me in most of these games because these commentators pick a favorite and then the entire game they're talking about how this and that and this should have been a penalty from the other team and this and that wasn't a penalty from this team. And it's like, you're not a referee. Please stop. I don't need that from you. I don't know. Commentators are the worst. I don't know that I have a favorite set, but there are most of the primetime ones bug the shit out of me.
Yeah, it's funny. I watch most games with my parents, and my mom absolutely hates every commentator. She'll comment on something they said, and I'll honestly have to ask her to tell me what they said because I tune them out.
They don't even know players' names.
I don't listen to a single thing they're saying.
They go into games not knowing the players' names. And they will say their names wrong and not correct themselves. They'll even call a player that made a play the wrong player and never correct it. And I'm like, I could do a better job than you. That was thrown to Khalif Raymond, not Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds did not just make that 20-yard play. What are you talking about? It's just so... It's like, if I was as bad at my job as you and making that kind of money, I would be very happy. I don't understand.
Yeah. Get paid that much money to know very little about about football.
Yeah, exactly.
And the teams. They only know about the popular teams. They don't care about anything else.
They're like, oh, before this game, I've watched 6 Pardon the Interruption episodes, so I know all the talking points on 3 players, and I don't know anything about the rest of them. Okay, anyways,
Yep.
I'm going to get off commentators because I could talk about them all night, but super annoying.
All right, next game, Colts Patriots. I did not wake up to watch this game, and I'm glad I didn't. What a boring game.
Only thing I
Patriots are
woke up
terrible,
happy to hear about this game was that Jonathan Taylor had scored a touchdown.
He did after Michael Pittman scored, and they decided to call him down at the 1, even though he was clearly in the end zone. I don't know if you saw the replay of that, but he absolutely got that ball across.
I did not see it.
So,
but I don't have him.
That was annoying. I have him in multiple leagues. He still had a good day, but it would have been nicer to have another 6 points. Patriots are bad. They might actually, I think right now they pick like 3rd in the draft order. So, I mean, they should be picking quarterback. We'll see. I love people online like, oh, it'd be so like Bill Belichick to wind up with the number 1 pick and get Caleb Williams. And I think to myself, Caleb Williams is a bust, man. Like, I'm sorry. I just don't think Caleb Williams is going to pan out. So, please, I'd rather see him go to the Giants. That would be fantastic for me.
Well, I'm looking at, like I said, I looked at the names, right? Bo Penix,
Yeah.
the guy
No,
from
Bo Nix and Michael.
Sorry,
Penix.
Bo Nix, Michael Penix, Jaden Daniels,
Jaden Daniels, man. Sade Sanders, if he comes out.
Drake May. Like, there are so many quarterbacks in this draft.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
My dad's hope for the Bears is that Jim Harbaugh, because he's going to leave Michigan, goes to Chicago and they draft J.J. McCarthy, who's his quarterback at Michigan, and already knows his offense and just goes straight in. So we'll see. But yeah, there could be legitimately like 6 or 7 first-round quarterbacks.
I wouldn't want to touch Harbaugh with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, but he's a former Bear, so.
The dude brings down shit upon every program he's ever at for 5 years. It's not.
But he wins, and that's.
It's the
That's all
Bears.
they
He's
care
not going to
about.
win.
Wow. Yeah.
He'll be there for 5 years of
Won
stirring up
elsewhere.
nothing, and then he'll leave, and it'll be a wasted 5 years with a bunch of picks missing because he's been sanctioned.
That's pretty much what the Bears are at this point. 49ers, Jaguars. 49ers bounced back after their bye, looked like themselves. Jaguars, very disappointing. Another one of those disappointing teams I was thinking about. Just especially Trevor Lawrence, man. I thought Trevor Lawrence was going to be like MVP potential this season with all those weapons in Jacksonville, and he's had a couple good games, but nothing big.
Yeah, it's. Thank God I got CJ Stroud in that league because drafting Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be the one that carried me, and he has just carried his team to a 6-3 record, looking like he's on crutches. It's crazy. So
Yeah, it's been very disappointing.
But I said that the 49ers after a bye and losing 3 straight weren't going to let that happen. And
Yeah.
they did. They just absolutely destroyed the Jaguars.
Well, they're all healthy. When they've got all those weapons, it's a lot easier to win games.
Mm-hmm.
Saints Vikings. This was another exciting game for Josh Dobbs. Another win for the Vikings. They go like what 5 straight or something like that. It's impressive.
That's crazy.
Yeah, 5 straight wins. Crazy.
Yep, that should come to an end. No, it's been a while before the Lions play them. I thought they played them. Lions play the Bears this week, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I don't know why I always thought it was the Vikings. Yeah, Josh Dobbs is tearing it up, and I love to see it. I hate that it's on the Vikings, but it is nice. And knowing that there's a competent quarterback on the Vikings with Justin Jefferson coming back for my fantasy team, I'm happy to see that.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting because Dobbs has never. I mean, he had Hollywood Brown in Arizona, but Hollywood Brown's not Justin Jefferson. So like having a receiver like that for Dobbs, that'll be the first time he's really had someone like that to throw to. So that will definitely be
last
very
week he
interesting to
had
watch.
T.J. Hawkinson, and Hawkinson had 11 catches out of 15 targets. So even if he split that between him and Jefferson, that's 7 targets and 8 for 1. Both of them can have good games. It's crazy.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. Titans, Bucks.
Oh, by the way, other thing to note from that Saints game.
Came back down to earth.
The other thing to note from the Saints games, Derek Carr got injured, and Jameis Winston might be the starter from now on.
Yes.
So,
yeah,
what I was calling for weeks ago might actually be the case.
Yeah. Well, and they looked better Winston threw 2 picks, but he also threw 2 touchdowns, which is something Derek Carr can't seem to do. So,
Chris Olave had more catches than he had, or even targets compared when Derek Carr was there. Like he was actually using the weapons he had. So
yeah, I don't know why Carr just seems to hate Chris Olave.
I have no idea.
But yeah, I think they should roll with Winston personally, and I think Winston will start the next game after the bye, and then depending on how he does, maybe they'll keep him or maybe they'll go back to Derek Carr. But can't imagine Jameis Winston at this point is any worse than Derek Carr.
Right. You said something about the
Browns,
Buccaneers
Ravens.
and someone coming to Earth.
Oh yeah, so we forgot the game. Bucks Titans. Yeah, Will Levis, man, looked like a rookie in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people were talking about how, oh my God, he's so good. He's going to be amazing. He's got such an arm. It's like, okay, well, there's a reason he went in like the 2nd or 3rd round. Like, he's still got some maturing to do, but he's their best quarterback. I mean, obviously,
when he can't throw and Derrick Henry can't run, they're going to score 6 points. Like that was just terrible offensive day for the Titans. And since that day, Levis threw 4 touchdowns.
That was,
his last 2 games have been
just a bad day.
Pedestrian. So everyone put their eggs in the Will Levis basket a little early. It doesn't mean he's not going to be good eventually, but he wasn't 4 touchdowns every week type of good.
Yeah, he's still got some ways to go. What's the next one? Browns Ravens. Browns get a surprising win.
Another one of those great games like we had with the Texans and the Buccaneers the week before.
Yeah, that was a great comeback. It's just that's what I mean. It's just a shame for the Browns, man. Like they're fighting for everything, and people just keep dropping like flies.
Mm-hmm. To be 6-3 after Chubb went down, and Deshaun Watson's been out multiple games this season. The fact they're 6-3 and still chugging along is impressive.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Other thing to note: this game was won by a field goal, and this weekend was the first time in NFL history that 5 different games on a Sunday were decided by a game-winning field goal.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yep.
I was like, I don't even believe that because it seems like it happens all the time. Yeah, another one Monday. It seems like it happens all the time, but apparently never that many times in one day. So that was kind of crazy.
Yeah, I did when I heard that on the radio going home, because the Cardinals game was one of them too, and it's just like, man, yeah, that's nuts that 5 games in one Sunday, because you figure there's usually 13 games going on Sunday. 14, 15 somewhere. Yeah, 15. Well, because Thursday, Monday. Yeah. So yeah, for 5, and it's happened with teams on bye. Like, yeah, that's nuts. But a lot of exciting close games.
Yep.
Another game won by a field goal. Texans Bengals. What a final drive by the Texans, man. After the Bengals tied it, C.J. Stroud just drives them right down the field for the field goal.
2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Of ice in his veins. 356 yards in that game from him after his 400 and something yard game the week before,
and still only has 1 interception on the year. I mean, that's just fantastic.
We're talking about him as an MVP candidate, and he absolutely deserves it.
Yeah. Yeah, if he keeps this up, man, I think he would be the first rookie to win MVP. I don't think it's happened before.
I don't think it has either. But, I mean, like, it's crazy the numbers he has.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's not leading the league in passing yards, though. So it's the one, my boy Sam's. That blows my freaking mind. But they do throw a lot, so.
Yet somehow Terry McLaurin could never get yards and touchdowns.
Nope. Because he throws to everybody else.
Yep.
Packers, Steelers. Packers suck too. I mean, the Steelers. The annoying thing is, like, both Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren seem to be doing good, which fine. But as a Najee Harris owner, I'd rather they just kept giving him points. But at least he's getting some. But yeah, Packers are just, God, Jordan Love's bad. Like, I'm sorry. They just, another team that needs a quarterback. Like, I know he's still got another year. They signed him to an extension or whatever, but no, you just draft somebody.
Yeah, they're going to have to get somebody just in case middle of next year he's still having trouble they can throw in there to try. And there's plenty of quarterbacks to draft in late rounds this year that could be starting quarterbacks in the NFL. So,
yeah. Well, they should have a top 10 pick too. So
yeah, but I don't think they'd waste it on him. They'd probably put it into their defense or their offensive line, hoping that helps Kenny Pickett. I don't think they'd give up on him that quick.
Jordan Love. But
well, you're talking about Jordan Love. I was still talking about the Steelers.
Oh, no, sorry. I was talking about Jordan Love's terrible.
Oh, yeah. If the Packers...
No, Kenny Pickett's only in his, second year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're both having a deep conversation about two different people. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, no, I was talking about Jordan Love's terrible. Yeah, Kenny Pickett is... he's still got time, though. It's only his second year. Like, I don't think the Steelers should maybe draft somebody in the late rounds, like you said, but as far as the Packers, like, if you've got a top 10 pick next year, they should be looking at quarterbacks, in my opinion.
Now your camera's screwing up.
Is it?
You are doing some...
yours has been frozen on Discord for like 30 minutes, and I'm just ignoring it at this point.
I know. Mine doesn't matter. Yours goes straight directly to the stream, and it's not caught up yet on the live stream for you to see what it's doing.
No, I see it now. I love it. I'm just going to leave it like that.
All right.
I look like a fish. just blowing bubbles. That's fantastic. I don't even know. Here we go.
Just turn it off and back on, and you should be good.
Fixes it.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. What's the game we're talking about? Falcons Cardinals. That was a good
Called
game,
it.
man. Kyler Murray looked
good.
He did. I was gonna say, like, the thing that impressed me the most was his rushing. Like, I coming back from his ACL, I was like, is he gonna want to scramble? Is he gonna want to wait a little bit? But no, man, he's running around like it was nothing.
Yeah, I was say he didn't look any slower or hesitant than he has ever looked, even after
the Falcons in the fourth quarter dove right at his knee in an extremely cheap shot that pissed everybody off.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he looked good. I mean, I don't know what else his interception was bad, but I mean, I can't.
It was terrible.
You can't expect him to be perfect, but I would say that he looked as close to perfect compared to an 11-month injury as you could on a team that was 1-8 coming in. I mean, 249 yards passing with that bad interception, but 6 carries for 33 yards and a ginormous. So on that last drive that set up that game-winning field goal, he had a 13-yard rush that set up the field goal, right? On third down, rushed, got the first down to set up the field goal. He is in those crazy analytics of Kyler Murray. He didn't actually run 13 yards. He ran 70 yards to get those 13 with a top speed of over 20 miles an hour to set that up. And that is just the Kyler Murray effect that you've been missing for the entire season. Not to mention the inspiration to the whole of the team, the defense and the offense, and James Conner coming back. It was just the perfect storm for the Cardinals to get a win. Will they continue to win? Who knows? But the odds of them being in every game for the rest of the season are much better than they would have been with Clayton Tune.
Oh yeah, that's obvious. I love to see. I was hopeful that they'd keep Trey McBride involved with Murray coming back, and boy did they. And Trey McBride continues to just break out, man.
Yeah, he's a beast.
He just really has a look of like going to be a top 5 tight end in this league. He's big, massive hands, competitive, amazing catches. The diving catch to set up the field goal. It was a hell of a throw by Kyler, but a fantastic catch by Trey. So it's just, yeah, they've got some things to be excited about.
Dial in his passing too, and he would have had a really, really nice touchdown to Hollywood Brown as well.
Yeah.
Just barely missed.
Yeah, I think that's part of that is
fingers.
just shaking off the timing rust of him and Hollywood, getting the timing down. But and I mean they've got some tough opponents still to go this year. So depending on how they've got Steelers defense good, 49ers, Eagles, Seahawks. If they can get some wins and look competitive in those games, it'll go a long way towards building excitement for next season.
Agreed.
All right, Lions Chargers. Talk us through this game.
It should not have been as close as it was, but holy crap, what a scary game. Lions just going. The Lions defense in the first half, very good. The Lions defense in the second half, not on the field. It was absolutely disgusting, the difference between the first half and the second half. I don't know that there was a drive that the Chargers didn't score on in the second half. I'm looking. No, see, they touchdown.
Wow.
Throughout the game, first half, the Lions held them to a punt, a field goal. They got an interception, made them punt, and then towards the end with 4 minutes left in the first half, that is when the Chargers scored their first touchdown, and then scored another one 2 minutes later. Simply because the Lions had a one-play, 75-yard David Montgomery run in between there. But they got 14 points in the last 4 minutes of the first half. And then the second half, they gave up 3 touchdowns on 3 drives. So the defense wasn't even there in the second half. The Chargers' final drive, there were so many penalties called on the Lions that I just thought, since the Chargers were at home, they wanted the Chargers to win because they were that egregious. But the good news was the Lions did the exact same thing in the second half, except for their first drive. They punt on their first drive after the second half. Touchdown, field goal, win it as time expires. So the Lions offense carried the Lions in that game in a high-scoring, if you weren't a Lions fan, exciting game. It was a good game for the offense, bad game for the defense, and just a good game overall from both teams. Chargers fans should be happy with what their team did, but they didn't win, so they're definitely not happy with that. But Keenan Allen is a beast, by the way. 11 receptions, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns. Got hurt, so we'll see if he plays this week. But yeah, crazy game.
Yeah, the crazy thing for the Chargers team, they have a plus 24 point differential on the season, but they're under 500.
Yeah.
That's just terrible luck, man. Like that's the Chargers. But yeah, I didn't get to watch this game obviously because I was at the Cardinals game, but watching that scoreboard throughout the game just constantly go up was nuts.
Yeah, if you had Eckler or Keenan Allen on your team, you were very happy.
Oh yeah, I've got Hawkinson and the Sun God in a couple leagues, so I'm very happy.
Well,
And then the
Hawkinson's
run
not on
game,
the
man,
Lions, but
Gibbs and David Montgomery were both huge.
yeah, both of them. Just when you thought Gibbs was taking over the starting job in the first half, David Montgomery comes out with a 75-yard rush, which is the longest for the Lions in like 20 years. It seems like so.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Giants, Cowboys. I have not much to say here. Cowboys destroyed a team they should destroy. I'm more shocked that Tony Pollard didn't have a big game. Like, everybody really thought he was going to bounce back this week, and he continues to really do nothing. It's all been Dak the last couple weeks.
Yeah, and Rico Dowdle had more yards than him on less rushes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And Brandon Cooks went insane somehow.
Yeah. Gotta love that.
Yeah.
A random Brandon Cooks pop up. But if you have Dak, you're happy because he had 5 touchdowns in the game, 4 passing, 1 rushing. So,
well, the most hilarious part
what
to
the
me is
Giants do.
after this game's end, everyone suddenly says that Dak's an MVP candidate. I'm like, after because he had one good game. I mean, he has good stats, but everyone's been saying he's done for the last few weeks, and then he wins a big game against a bad team, and suddenly he's an MVP candidate. That is the story of Dallas from week to week. Dak's done. They should move on. Oh, we destroyed the Giants, who are bad. Dak's an MVP candidate. It makes me laugh.
Well, that's what they do. They just beat up on terrible teams, and they get the Panthers this week, Commanders on Thanksgiving. Like, they're just gonna. But then, eventually they play Miami, Buffalo, Philly, Detroit. Like, that's when it's really gonna be interesting to see how the Cowboys look.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Speaking of Commanders, Seahawks. Another game that ended on a field goal, which is closer than. I think the spread was like 6.5, so good for the Commanders to only lose by 3. I don't know. I mean, as a Commanders fan, this season's already over for us. Like, we sold off of the trade deadline. We're waiting to next season. The defense is terrible. Fire Jack Del Rio. But the more I see from Sam Howell, the more I think, like, if they can just keep him and Bieniemy together and build around Sam Howell, use the picks next year to rebuild the defense, the offensive line, I'd be happy with that. But the thing that drives me bananas is that they spent all those first round picks on defensive linemen, and I can't remember a time when we were really that dominant of a defense. Like, even Chase didn't play much because he was hurt, but even Sweat and Payne and Allen, there was never a moment when it was like, oh, the Commanders are a top 10 defense. It's always been, well, we can be good against the run, but the secondary is terrible. Then they invest our first 2 picks in the secondary this year, and we're still terrible. It's it's so frustrating. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Jets, Raiders. Raiders got a big win. I mean, I think everybody kind of should have saw that coming. They're a completely different team with Alec Pierce.
I did not even watch any part of this game or see the highlights. But I did look at the box score, and seeing Josh Jacobs go for 116 yards finally was nice to see. And then Aiden O'Connell now 2-1 in his starts as a Raider. So, and the 2 wins under Pierce. So maybe the Raiders got something going. They're 5-5, which doesn't leave them out of the playoff hunt if they can just continue to get better with Aiden Pierce.
Yeah, I think they go back, just ride Josh Jacobs, and then Devontae Adams 13 targets. Just do that. Just get your best players involved.
Yeah, have your best players do what best players do, and you should be fine. So.
Yep. And last game, Broncos Bills. We touched on it. The Bills losing that game, just ridiculous to see them struggle so much.
I think what I was trying to say at the beginning about the Bills is I made my wife watch this TikTok had funny edits to it, and it was a recap of that game. And my wife goes when it was over, she's like, "How's that team so bad?" Talking about the Bills, knowing she doesn't know anything really about football, so
she knows they're bad.
Watching that, yeah, I think the most entertaining thing about this game was watching James Cook fumble the ball, and it bounced right back up into his hands.
Yes,
that was fun.
Basically, dribbled the ball.
Yeah,
amazing.
Somebody tell James Cook this isn't basketball. You don't have to bounce the football on the turf.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. And the throw from Russell Wilson to Cortland Sutton was beautiful. I will say that. I don't know if you saw that one, where Sutton
in the corner
barely kept his toes in bound. That was gorgeous.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's dive on into Week 11 then. Starting off with our Thursday night foreplay. We kind of went in different directions with this one.
I went in the direction of I want to win some money if I'm going to win again. So mine's plus 739, and it might be a little tough. But, after such a long losing streak, might as well keep being tough on it, especially since it's always a no sweat parlay. So I'm not losing money if I lose this, but I'll definitely gain money if I win it. So I went with Trenton Irwin under 32.5 yards. He had a big game last week, so I think they bumped up the number for what he should get this week. And I don't think he's going to get it because he usually doesn't get it. So I got Trenton Irwin on the under on yards. I got Joe Burrow over 1.5 touchdown passes. So I think that he's going to be passing. I just don't think it's going to be to Irwin. So if Joe Burrow gets 2 touchdowns, we'll be good there. I went over on 35.5 points. That is not the actual over-under. That's an adjusted one, but I figure there's got to be over 35 points scored between these because that in itself right there is a 20-17 game, right? So
yeah,
over on those points for sure. And then I threw in an anytime touchdown because that's what I do. And I threw Mark Andrews anytime touchdown in there. He didn't get one last week.
A good one to throw in.
And I need him to get one this week.
Yeah, that is a good one to throw in. I went simple. Mine's only plus 193, so not winning a lot of money, but I just like to win. I went Joe Burrow over 250 yards. The Ravens defense is tough, but I mean they're going to throw a lot. Lamar Jackson over 25 rushing yards. That one probably the toughest of these. Mark Andrews 3+ receptions. Hopefully one of those is your touchdown. And then Jamar Chase over 50 yards, which, I mean, he's Jamar Chase. He should do that. And if Burrow's throwing for over 250 yards, at least 50 of them should be going to Chase. So,
as long as they're not going to Trenton Irwin.
Yeah, well, I know with T. Higgins out again, Irwin will be involved, but...
Well, Tyler Boyd went off last week, so...
Yeah, it'll be Boyd and Chase. And Irwin got 2 passes. One of them just happened to be big. Yeah. So it's like he can, as long as he just doesn't do that again.
Yeah, it should be fine.
And it's but knowing your luck, Trent Irwin's going to have 100 yards receiving.
Well, for all those that picked him up this week, you're welcome.
All right. Well, going into our picks. So week 10, you had another huge week. 12-3 again. I didn't even have to update that from last week's notes.
Yeah. 2 straight 12-3 weeks. Let's go.
Yes, and I went different on you in 3 games and lost them all. I went 9-6.
And it's not like you had to do that because you were ahead last week. So.
No, you were ahead by I think half a.
Oh, I was ahead by half game. That's right. I thought I was down half a game. Yeah. Okay, so I was ahead, but not really. So we had the same amount of wins.
Oh yeah, half a game.
So.
So for the season, you are 102-54. I am 99-58.
I'm like 66% on my picks. That's crazy.
I know. I told you should be betting $1 on each one of these. You'd be winning money.
I meant to last week, and I forgot to. And if I had, I'd been in a good spot.
On like 12 or more. Well, probably more than $12, especially if you parlayed them, it wouldn't have worked. But yeah. Should do it. Do it this week.
I might pick 6 of my picks this week and see what happens. And parlay.
There you go.
I'm gonna do
All
that.
right. So First game, since you're ahead, you'll be picking first. So Bengals at Ravens tomorrow night. Ravens favored by 3.5.
I'm going to pick the Ravens. I picked the Ravens to get ahead quick, and that is why I have God. Why is the quarterback of the Bengals is escaping me? I almost said Trent McDuffie. Joe Burrow. There you go. Joe Burrow. That's why I have. Don't ask me. That's why I have Burrow throwing over 2 touchdowns. So I think the Ravens get ahead in the first half. The Bengals have to throw a lot in the second half, and I still pick the Bengals or Ravens.
I'm also picking the Ravens. Better defense. They're home. Yeah. I think it hopefully is a shootout because I would really love to see a Thursday night game be exciting.
Be fun to watch.
Panthers last week, but I don't know. Ravens have a good defense, so they could. This could be a low score, but hopefully not. Chargers at Packers. Chargers favored by 3.
I'm taking the Chargers. Packers are terrible. They just traded away their best cornerback, and then on top of that, the Chargers just scored almost every drive they had against the Lions defense. So if the Packers can stop that, I wouldn't be surprised if they're better than the Lions defense somehow. But I don't think they are. So Chargers. There you go.
Yeah, I'm taking the Chargers too. The Packers look terrible. I can't pick them, especially against a team that, even though the Chargers are 4-5, like I said, they have a positive point differential. They can score points. I don't think the Packers can really score that many points against the Chargers defense. If Keenan Allen doesn't play, that's really going to suck for the Chargers, but they've still got other good receivers. So
yeah.
Titans at Jaguars. Jaguars by 7.
Titans at Jaguars. Jaguars by 7. That's what she said. I'll take the. Sorry, I was killing time so I could get to the right screen. I take the Jaguars. I do not believe in Will Levis, and the Jaguars are good, and they're at home.
Yeah, same. Jaguars have been disappointing this year, but the Titans aren't a good team. Will Levis is a rookie. I mean, I don't think he'll be as bad as he was against the Bucs, but if he is, this will be an easy for Jacksonville.
The Titans just refuse to move away from Derrick Henry, who cannot run anymore. And so if they just keep that up,
the ball to Tajay Spears.
They don't, and I assume they won't in this game either, and that'll continue to be their downfall. So,
yeah,
I'm sorry, Derrick Henry. You were very good, and you will always be looked on, positively. But you are dragging the Titans down right now.
Father Time catches up with everybody.
Yeah.
Raiders at Dolphins. Dolphins favored by 12.5.
Oh, I'm going to pick the Dolphins, but I'm going to pick the Raiders to cover.
Yeah. When I was doing the notes last night, there were a couple lines I looked at, and I immediately bet teams to cover because I'm like, that line is ridiculous.
Yeah, that is huge.
I mean, the Dolphins will win this game, but the Raiders are a different team now, and they'll put up more of a fight.
No.
But I think the Dolphins will definitely win.
I agree.
Cowboys at Panthers. Cowboys favored by 10.5.
Cowboys.
You said Cowboys?
Yeah, I didn't really need you to finish that one.
Here's a team I don't think covers that spread. I think the Cowboys actually...
they're not covering 10.5.
Yeah. The Cowboys will do what they did to the Giants and win by like 30 because that'll make them look good. But yeah.
By the way, I picked the Bears last week to win, and I was like, you might think that the Bears are going to ruin their number 1 pick by doing this. But then I said the Cardinals were also going to win, so it made it even. Right on the money.
All right. Yeah, I'm taking the Cowboys as well. Cardinals at Texans. Texans favored by 4.5. Such a weird line.
I'm going to pick the Texans and say that I wouldn't be surprised if the Cardinals found a way to win it. Texans are very good, but also the Texans' first half of the season. So not first half of the first half of the season were very beatable. So I mean, any given Sunday, it could still happen. And the Cardinals are riding a high right now. But I'm still going to take the Texans.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, this is a game that could go either way, but I look at it and think that the Cardinals' defense is not that good, and C.J. Stroud has been very good lately. So I don't think the Cardinals can stop him. But it should be interesting. I mean, the offense for the Cardinals with Kyler Murray back is completely different. So they should be able to put up points.
Bonus question.
A fun shootout. Yes.
Did the Cardinals give him his second interception?
What's funny is I was actually thinking about that this week because they shouldn't, which means they probably will.
Yeah, right. It'll be Buda Baker.
No, it won't even be Buda Baker. It'll be like some rando Marco Wilson interception.
Antonio Hamilton.
Yeah, like it's one of those where you're like, no, of course not, but which means it's gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly.
This is an interesting game. Steelers at Browns. Browns are favored by 1.5. It was 4.5 when I did the notes last night. Obviously, it changed with Deshaun Watson. Yeah, what do you think?
I'm trying to look at like what the Steelers have done recently. So they lost to the Jags, they beat the Rams, they beat the Packers, they beat the Titans. I'm gonna go with the Browns. We'll say DTR leads them to a win.
I'm gonna take the Steelers. This is a close game, so might as well get one different. Yeah, I don't know. This one's my gut says the Browns. These are two very good defenses. I honestly have no idea, but I'm just gonna get one different from you, so I'm gonna take the Steelers.
All right.
Giants at Commanders. Commanders favored by 9.5. Lol. We're not going to win by 10.
I'm not picking the Giants, so give me the Commanders.
I'm going to take the Commanders as well, even though it would not surprise me at all if we lost this game to Tommy DeVito. But I will say this. Bet the Giants to cover. We don't beat teams by 10 points. I don't care how bad they are. We just don't do it. So
I would bet the 10.
I bet the Giants to cover 9.5. Like,
no, I'm saying I would bet the opposite.
You bet the Commanders to win by 10?
I would if I were betting on this game. There ain't no way. The Giants are terrible, and that DeVito guy.
They are terrible, but we also lost to them 2 weeks ago with Tyrod Taylor. So
Tyrod Taylor's better.
I just don't see. I don't think our team. We don't beat people by double digits. That's not something we do out in Washington. Bears at Lions. Lions favored by 8.5.
I hate to pick the favorite every week, but I'm not taking the Bears against the Lions. That's definitely not happening. So give me the Lions.
I would be very shocked if you did.
No, I haven't been shy to pick my Lions now. That I'm just getting over the superstition because I'm losing picks doing that. But yeah, the Lions don't want to lose to the Bears, first off. And then on top of that, almost losing to the Chargers last week the way they did, there ain't no way they're going to want this one to be close.
I think the Lions want to lose any game.
Well, yeah, but specifically, you don't want to lose to division rivals, and you certainly don't want to lose to the worst one.
Yeah, and it's funny, but Justin Fields coming back, there's always that worry pit in your stomach that, like, oh God, what if Justin Fields, like...
And the Lions are terrible against movement quarterbacks, so
yeah,
it could happen. But
I just don't see. I think at this point the Bears want to lose too. Like, I think they might as well just keep losing. But
the difference
Lions
between
at home, Goff at home.
The difference too with Fields versus other movement quarterbacks is the other movement quarterbacks you have to worry about them throwing. Fields you don't.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's. I don't know. Should be a fun game, but I think the Lions, especially being home, it's gonna be a big day for Amon-Ra and Laporta.
For sure.
The Bears can't cover anybody, which is good for me because I've got the Sun God in multiple leagues. I'm very happy. Bucks at 49ers. 49ers favored by 11.5.
Well, again, I'm picking the favorite in the 49ers, but I'll pick the Bucks to cover.
That's an interesting one. I did bet the Bucks to cover, but then as I thought about it, I'm like, well, I mean, the 49ers have beaten people by like 2 touchdowns a lot. But I don't know. I like Mike Evans, Baker, Godwin. Like I do like the Bucks.
Rashad White, who's been going off.
Yeah, he's been a lot better since they're bye. Yeah. I'd pick the 49ers too. I think the 49ers definitely win, but the Bucks should be able to at least make it interesting. Seahawks at Rams. Seahawks favored by 1.
Rams. Give me the Rams.
Yeah.
Rams are home. Stafford's coming back this week.
Yeah. I was hoping this would be another one we could get different because I think the Rams win this game, absolutely.
And then, Kyron Williams possibly coming back. Like, they got everything they need right now.
Yeah, I know Stafford's definitely playing, which is great news for Puka and Cooper Kupp. I don't know if Kyron Williams will be able to come back for this game, but I don't think it'll matter. I think Stafford in the passing game can win this game.
For sure.
All right. Jets at Bills. Bills favored by 7.
Jets at Bills. Bills are favored by 7? Do they watch the same Bills we watched last time?
Yeah, I was a little thrown by this.
This one should be closer, I would think. I mean, the Jets have looked really bad the last 2 weeks too. This is almost... I know there's a 7-point differential here on the spread. This seems like a toss-up to me. But I'm going to take the Bills.
I bet the Jets to cover.
Nah. I'll take the Bills.
All right. I'm also going to take the Bills. I think after losing on the road in week 1 to the Jets, the Bills at home, they've got to get this win. So,
yeah.
But like you said, the Jets have looked terrible. So, is this an afternoon game in Buffalo? That's crazy. Usually late games are always West Coast games.
Yeah, that is odd.
Weird. Vikings at Broncos. Broncos favored by 2.5.
Vikings at What? Okay, another underdog here. I'm taking the Vikings.
All right. I will take the Broncos.
Broncos look like ass against the Bills. They just played their best game somehow against the Bills.
It's close enough that I'll pick different.
Yeah, I mean, the Broncos could win that game. I just don't see the Vikings, who are rolling right now, getting Justin Jefferson back as well, losing to the Broncos.
All right. Eagles at Chiefs. Chiefs by 2.5.
Eagles at Chiefs. Chiefs at 2.5. This is interesting.
This is gonna be a really good Monday night game.
Aren't they both coming off of buys?
Yes.
What a weird scheduling.
Well, they did that on purpose. Super Bowl rematch. They want to make everybody be all fresh up for it.
Yeah. Shoot, I don't even know really. I think the Eagles have a more complete team, so I'm going to take the Eagles.
All right. And I was just going to take whoever you pick. So I'll take the Chiefs.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that one. The Chiefs are favored because they're the home team, but realistically, this is like coin toss. Like these are, I mean, the Eagles are probably more motivated after losing the Super Bowl to get the win. But I feel like the Chiefs need the win more. So I'm fine taking the Chiefs.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
All right, so should be interesting. I can either go down 6 or get back to tied. Oh, we gotta do our bonus picks.
Do need to do our bonus picks.
Ooh, this is a
Bonus
tough week
pick.
because there are a lot of big spreads this week.
I'm taking the Chargers as my bonus against the Packers.
It's a good one. That is a good one. Gosh. I can't do the Bills. Damn these 7 spreads. See, and I would the Texans Cardinals worries me too much.
What about Broncos Vikings?
I could do what you did last week. You took the Texans and get the because I took
The double points?
Bengals. Yeah. Ooh. Interesting. You know what? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna swing for the fences. Take the Broncos as my bonus.
There you go.
All right, that's either gonna work out really well or really bad.
Speaking of really bad, let's go over Week 10 fantasy sleepers.
I know. Oh, after being 8-0 in Week 9, we had a bad week this week. Quarterbacks, we both kind of pushed. You took Kyler Murray. He was ranked 15th, finished 14th. I took Bryce Young. He was ranked 23rd, finished 22nd. So they finished right where they were ranked. That's like a push in blackjack.
Yeah.
But running backs, oof. Tyler Algier, you had him. He ranked 31st against the Cardinals. He finished 43rd. I took Chuba Hubbard against the Bears. He would rank 29th and finished 41st.
By the way, Falcons fans, you're welcome. I pick Algier because he's been stealing all the carries from Bijan, and then Bijan goes 22 rushes against the Cardinals.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I know. Just could you just pick Algier every week? Well, the funny thing was, like, they gave Algier 9, which is nowhere near the split that they had been doing, but is still annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cordarrelle Patterson also got 3 for no reason.
They're like, let's relive last year. Cordarrelle, what do you got?
Yeah. Well, hey, yeah, they got Desmond Ridder in there, so they might as well get Cordarrelle Patterson back in there too.
Let's just do everything we did last year.
Yeah. Receivers, we did better. You had Romeo Dobbs. He ranked 48th and finished 28th. I had Jackson Smith and Jigba. He ranked 44th and finished 39th. I gave myself the win there. It's close enough to above 44 that I decided to give myself the win also.
I'll just point out I had a 20 rank swing to your 5.
You did. Yeah.
But I still consider it a win. Yes.
Yeah. Well, the thing that pissed me off was that on the first drive, I think he had like 4 catches. Yeah, let me see. 1, 2. He had 3 catches, and then the rest of the game got 1 more catch. Like, he was off to a hot start, and I was thinking to myself, like, yeah, cool, I called that. And then they just stopped throwing to him. So that was annoying.
For sure.
And then tight end, we did miserably. You took Juwan Johnson. He was ranked 21st, and he ended up with 1.2 points. I didn't even count how far down he was. And I took Kyle Pitts. He was ranked 14th and finished 20th. So, yeah, not great fantasy for us.
It's all right. I'll bring it back
16,
this
11,
week.
and 5, so still above 500. I'm 14, 13, and 9, so basically right at 500.
It's all right. Bringing it back this week.
Yeah, I'm going to bounce back. Who do you got at quarterback?
So at quarterback, I have Jared Goff, who's somehow ranked 17th quarterback against the Chicago defense at Detroit. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Jared Goff is definitely going to be higher than 17th.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising. Maybe they're just assuming they're going to run all over the Bears. I don't know, but yeah, especially home Jared Goff. Home Jared Goff is like the best Jared Goff.
He's just crazy.
I'm going with Tommy DeVito against Washington for one simple reason. He ranked 27th, and our defense is terrible. So, I mean, he's not going to finish top 10, but the dude should finish top 20. Like, he'll throw at least a touchdown. I don't even know who's below him. I should have actually looked at that.
Yeah, because that's sad for them.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull that up real quick. Let's see here. Tommy DeVito. Where are you, little DeVito? So, DTR is ranked below him, and Kenny Pickett. Are they down now? It must be. Yeah, the only two starters that are projected less points than him are Dorian Thompson-Robinson and Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett is last. Wow.
Yep, projected 18 points. That's crazy. Yeah, so that's actually what, like 30th? Yeah, against our defense, which unfortunately is just atrocious. He's gonna finish up in that. Running back. Speaking of crazy low ranks, I'm going with Devin Singletary. He is ranked 32nd against the Cardinals, who also have a bad defense. Now, I know Dameon Pierce might be back this week, so
I was gonna say I think that
might screw this up. Yeah, but if Pierce doesn't play, I have a lot of faith in Singletary. Even if Pierce does play, I think Singletary maybe at least gets involved enough to finish in the top 30.
Understandable. I picked Jerome Ford against Pittsburgh. He's the 20th ranked running back. Jerome Ford went off over 100 yards last week. And so we'll see what happens.
Well, and if them starting DTR, they should be running a lot more. So that is a good pick. Wide receivers, I'm going back to the well. Rashee Rice. He is ranked 43rd at wide receiver against Philly. This should be a high-scoring game, and he should be involved. I think he should be their number one receiver besides Kelsey. But at the very least, he'll finish above 43rd.
So you live in that well. You've set up a tent.
It works out every time. I didn't go last week because he was on bye. I went back this week. Until they stop projecting him so low, I'm going to keep going back to it.
Cortland Sutton was my pick. He's 29th ranked wide receiver. The guy's getting almost 10 targets a game. So Cortland Sutton is my guy.
Nice. After that great catch he had, I can see Russell Wilson should be thrown to him a lot more.
Oh, for sure.
And for tight end is tough because there's barely even 12 startable tight ends in fantasy football right now. I'm going with Luke Musgrave. He's ranked 15th versus the Chargers. The Packers should have to throw a lot to keep up with LA, and Musgrave, he's been doing all right.
I'll say I like your pick because I literally wrote in the same pick before I realized that that's who you picked, and I deleted it and tried again.
Well, good. That shows, that gives me some confidence.
I picked Tyler Conklin from the Jets because he had a really good game the last couple of weeks. He's a 17th ranked tight end against Buffalo, who Buffalo's looked terrible the last few weeks. So there you go.
I like it. All right. Well, that is our Week 11 preview.
All right. So I've had this open, but I didn't know when to bring it up. But I'll bring it up now because we're here at the end before I go through and sign us off. But I have our picks for the AFC 2023 standings. All right.
Oh, okay.
So the AFC North, we both picked the Bengals, which could or could not happen.
If they beat Baltimore tomorrow night, that'll go a long way to getting them back up there.
Yes, exactly. We both had the Jags winning the AFC South, where they are winning it currently. But the Texans are charging at them feverishly. Neither of us had the Texans to win or be a wild card, so, they're the wrench in the spokes. AFC East, I had the Dolphins winning it. You had the Bills.
Yeah, that doesn't look good.
Yeah. And then AFC West, we both had the Chiefs, which we're looking fine there.
They'll have that division locked up by early December.
For wild cards, we both had the Ravens. I had the Bills. Since I had the Dolphins winning, I had the Bills. You had the Browns and the Chargers were your other two wild cards. And my other wild card was the Jets. So none of us... You didn't have the Dolphins in the playoffs.
I didn't? Wow.
Nope. Rough.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So there's just
stayed healthy.
Just a peek for us. We'll go over those standings after the last week of the season to see where we really stand, but that's where we're at right now, at least AFC wise.
Do you have the Super Bowl one up? Because I'm pretty sure I picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl.
I don't have the Super Bowl one up. I just picked the first one where I went through our standings and people that were going to the playoffs.
Okay.
So
I was just curious.
Nope. Well, it's not the Dolphins go to the Super Bowl, so you know that much. On yours.
Not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. That's going to do it for episode 18. I want to thank you all for listening, for being here on the live stream, as well as those that are listening to the audio podcast. We appreciate you. For those on the audio podcast, you can find us live streaming every Wednesday night on youtube.com/@Coffin Corner. Or if you are watching live and you're going to miss a live stream, you can go to any podcast app and find the podcast by searching Coffin Corner Podcast, and you can find us there. As well, you can find us on Twitter, X, @Coffin Corners. You can also find us on TikTok, @Coffin Corner Podcast, where we've got some big ideas for the second half of the season on our TikTok. So if you don't follow the TikTok, go follow that, and hopefully you'll be able to see what that is that we're talking about right now very soon. But there's should be some things happening there, a little different than we've been doing on TikTok up to this point, so keep an eye there. Richie, do you have anything else that you want to say before we sign off?
You covered it.
Awesome. Well, until next week, I hope your teams win this weekend, unless they're playing mine. Until then, I hope you all have a great week, and we'll see you next week for episode 19.